Sam Spiegelman with Rivals.com here with John Garcia, National Recruiting Analyst here at the 5-Star in Jacksonville. John, you have had the assignment of talking to some of the 100 best recruits in the country. A lot of them are committed. A lot of them think that their classes are going to get a little bit bigger by the end of the summer. A lot of buzz around the number one offensive tackle in the country, David Sanders Jr. What are the streets been saying about David Sanders?
Streets are talking. I think a lot of the Ohio State commitments feel really good here. Unsolicited, didn't put them in the same group. Hey, who's next to come to your school? A lot of the Buckeyes say David Sanders is the next to throw up that OHIO. And hey, took a visit up there. We know they've been in the mix for quite some time, so there's some confidence coming from Columbus. A few other commits did mention David, though. So I think Tennessee feels pretty good. The Clemson group is still in there. So, and obviously Georgia has been in the mix as long as anyone. But in terms of the volume, Ohio State has the peer buzz with David Sanders.
That was the buzz that we were hearing after his final official visit last weekend. A lot of buzz around another number one, the number one outside linebacker in America.
Yeah, Nathaniel Owusu-Boateng, Notre Dame legacy. So all of the Irish commits made sure to mention him. But Ohio State commits mentioned him as well, a couple Florida guys. So there's still some TBD out there with the number one outside backer, and he doesn't really have a timeline. So I think that's what's interesting about his group, top 5 coming to Rivals.com. If you haven't seen it already, check it out. Those schools are all in it, of course. But naturally, look, legacy recruit, the Irish commits know that he's very high on the board. He was on campus recently, but he was at Michigan too. I really liked that trip, so we'll see.
Taz Williams is going to come off the board on July 13th. He's got a top 4, Penn State, SMU, A&M, and Michigan. You've heard a lot of varied responses on where the 4-star wide receiver from Dallas might wind up.
If you're going to put your hat on the table for someone and you hear those 4 schools, you might not think SMU, but Dalen Singleton, the Mustang commitment, said, hey, I think Taz is next. And Taz was standing right next to him and did not say no. So, hey, keep an eye on SMU as a dark horse, quite literally.
Let's stick with the theme of elite wide receivers. Caleb Cunningham is a number 3 receiver in the country out of Mississippi. And there's a lot of SEC buzz around Mr. Cunningham.
Yeah, well, every visit is his number 1 school, according to him. But in terms of his peers, split between the Iron Bowl schools. The Auburn group feels good, Alvin Henderson and company. But the Bama group is starting to mention Caleb Cunningham a little bit more as well. So why not? Let's have an Iron Bowl battle for one of the best.
Cunningham has told Rivals for the length of June that the Tigers were out in front, but that did change after a recent trip to Tuscaloosa at the end of June. Zaire Addison, one of the best offensive linemen in the country, probably gave you in the mix for maybe the best answer of the afternoon. What kind of flip talk did Mr. Addison have for you?
Yeah, I think most recruits were thinking very linearly here. Hey, who's the next uncommitted recruit that's going to join your school? Zaire Addison, fellow Floridian, so I can say this. He said, hey, we're going to flip someone. And Marcus Harris was his target. So if you're a Duck fan, keep an eye on Marcus Harris despite that commitment elsewhere.
I know I'll be tuned in to Rivals.com for all this. For John, I'm Sam Spiegelman.